Welcome to the Core Experience, your connection to community, business, and the people who make it all happen with your host, Brandon Suba.
Well, hey everybody, welcome back. This is a very exciting day. This is season 3 of the Core Bank podcast. So a little history real quick. Core Bank podcast started in, I think 2019. And then I took it over in 2022. We did season 2. We finished season 2. And we are in a different studio now. We're at Pixel Fire Studio now, and we have a great opportunity to now do season 3 of the Core Bank podcast. And why not to kick off a brand new season with one of our favorite events that we have. We have some phenomenal guests to talk about it today, but we are going to focus on the Polar Plunge for Special Olympics today. And for those listening, you can always go to the Core Bank YouTube page and you can see the video and you can see us all hanging out here jammed in this nice little recording studio. But then, of course, you can always listen to it too. But give us a like, subscribe, all those great things so you know when the newest podcast has come out. So without further ado, let me introduce the guests that we have here today. I'm going to cheat just a little bit here because we have Rachel, who is a Special Olympics athlete and so many other things. And you'll tell us a little more as we dig into that. And then Rose, you are the Event and Law Enforcement Partnership. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, yep. Rock on. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Polar Plunge. Kind of, Rose, you're going to take a little bit of the beginning here. Rachel, you're going to share your story. And then surprise, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mike, who is Rachel's father, and we're going to swap Rose and Mike out in mid-podcast and have him share a little bit about his story too, with everything with the Special Olympics. So, Rose, Core Bank has participated in the Special Olympics now. I have to cheat here really quick for quite a while. Over a decade.
Yeah.
A decade. Mm-hmm. And last year we had 72 plungers at Lake Swenson. It was 40 degrees. It looks like we might get something similar to this year, which I'm excited about. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about the Polar Plunge?
Yeah, so let me start. Special Olympics. So our mission at Special Olympics Nebraska is to really end discrimination and fear and really bring justice and joy to over 6,000 people with and without intellectual disabilities across the state. We do that through 4 pillars at sports, health, education, and leadership. So the Polar Plunge in specific kind of falls under the Law Enforcement Torch Run initiative. And what that is we have law enforcement across the state that really put together different fundraisers for us. That includes torch runs, Cop on Top, Tip a Cop, and Polar Plunges are included in that. So the Law Enforcement Torch Run is the largest grassroots fundraiser for Special Olympics Nebraska, and the Polar Plunge is a huge part of that. So what does that mean? It means you jump into an icy, freezing body of water.
We have a lake here. I know up north they would actually build a plunge in some areas, I believe.
Yeah. So my understanding is we've had plunges. People have jumped into horse tanks. They've jumped into dumpsters. And then we also do lakes and rivers, which seems a little more natural. So yeah, here in Omaha, it is at Lake Swenson. This year, it's Saturday, February 10th. We plunge beginning at 11 o'clock. So yeah, it's just a great time to put a team together, come out, enjoy a little bit of tailgating, activities ahead of time, and then wade in the water with your friends.
And I have to say this, Mike Rasmussen, this is for you. If you need a team to join to plunge with, Core Bank is always open arms to have you join us. So, Rose, how many sporting events and athletes does the Special Olympics support?
Yeah, so Nebraska specifically, we have 20 Olympic-style sports, both individual and team, that range anywhere from winter to summer. Rachel can definitely go into her sports a little bit, but we have anywhere from basketball, track, volleyball to the winter sports, skiing. I don't know that we have ice or roller skating anymore. That's not really winter, but
did they?
We did have roller skating at one point. Cool. So yeah, it's a variety of different sports that are year round. We also do unified sports in schools. Schools is a very big initiative of ours as well. So yeah, we serve over 6,000 people across the state right now.
Wow. All right, Rachel, you ready to share some of your story? So let me preface it. I was able to hear Rachel's story at Core Bank. We did a little lunch and learn, and she came in and told us kind of her journey and everything. So I am stoked to have this on the podcast so we can share it with so many more people. So Rachel, share with us how you got involved as an athlete in the Special Olympics.
Sure. So 2011, I was in high school, and my parents actually were seeing a financial counselor, and he had a son that has Down syndrome, and he participated in Special Olympics, and he was telling us to really give it a try, and it's just been kind of a life-changing organization for me.
And there are many sports you do within the Special Olympics, but
Yes.
what's, you can touch on all of them if you would like, but what are some of your favorites?
So my favorites are basketball, swimming, cross-country skiing, powerlifting, and track and field.
And which one are you focused on right now?
So right now I do basketball, cross-country skiing, which is going to be ending pretty soon, and swimming.
And then you will be going to the World Games with your cross-country skiing, right?
Yes. Yes. It's not really official yet, but we are still waiting for some details, but yes.
Good. And are there any stories, you've been doing this for a while now, are there any stories that stick out that you would want to share? Maybe a real good experience you had?
So one of memory I had was when I went to, it was actually last year when I went to the USA Games for powerlifting, and my coach, we had to basically let the judges, there was a judge that asked us, the coach, like some fun facts about him, and just one of the fun facts he put, it was just about the growth that he's seen like improved when I was in powerlifting. And that was really neat to hear him say that.
Now, if you're not watching on YouTube, Rachel keeps saying powerlifting. I would not guess you as a power lifter. I mean, you're a little petite. I see you more as the skier. So how'd you get into powerlifting?
So when I came back from Austria in 2017, I had somebody, one of the athletes I actually went with was telling me about powerlifting, and there was an opening on my powerlifting team, and I was like, I'm trying this, and I ended up actually really enjoying the sport.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. And then the last thing before we'll switch your dad in here, you've spoken quite a bit now in honor of Special Olympics. What have been some of your favorite opportunities to tell your story and to get in front of a crowd?
I really like speaking with these senators.
Not me.
I've also enjoyed like the ICANN's Women Conference, and then I've also spoken at an Omaha Women's Health Conference. That was pretty neat to speak at as well.
Well, I will say you are one heck of a speaker. You sharing your story, if it doesn't move someone, they're just not listening. It's as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
So we switched it up a little bit. We have another guest here, Mike, who is Rachel's father. Mike, how are you today?
Doing great. Great to be here. Thanks.
Good. And I got to learn that you are taking up skiing this year, right?
Right. Yeah. For the first time this year, I became a coach and decided to move with the team in cross-country skiing and snowshoeing. So I was actually on cross-country skis for the first time this year. Went about 10 feet and then fell for the first time.
Yeah.
Got back up and went at it. So it's been a real enjoyable experience with the coaching part of it. Watching the athletes improve and seeing the smiles on the faces is really rewarding.
Wonderful. Now, so obviously, as a family, you've been very involved in Special Olympics. What does that look like as a family dynamic, having so much? Because there's a lot of time dedicated to all of this, right?
There is. Rachel has a sport for every season. So she's at least one. So she's going to 1 or 2 practices a week. And then throughout the year, there are periodic competitions. So there's always practice going on. And then Pam, Rachel's mom, is also a unified athlete. So sometimes she's practicing with Rachel, and I'm also a unified athlete. So sometimes we're all practicing together. So it really is kind of a family thing. And the families kind of develop a special bond amongst each other because we're all kind of walking a similar path. No 2 paths are identical, but we all walk a similar path. And it's nice to say, hey, I've tried this, or I'm struggling with that. And as a family, you kind of get that stuff going. There's a little bit of back and forth, and you figure out a way to take the next couple steps on your journey. So and there's a lot of lessons learned and experience that go into those conversations. So it's really good to have that sort of support network that's just sort of organic to the organization.
Unified athlete. I feel we've mentioned this a couple times, even though I said something. Do you want to go in just a little in-depth on what that is? And Rachel, if you want to include anything too, you absolutely can.
So there's varying degrees of unified athletes. Pam and I do it as a parent and our child kind of thing. But the big thing in Nebraska right now is unified athletics at the high school level. It's not exclusive to the high schools, but that's where where the most development has happened recently. So they take mainstream students and pair them with special needs students and Special Olympic athletes, and then they compete, and it's sanctioned by the state. I know there's bowling, I think there's track, I think there's swimming, and I don't know if there's any other sports, but it's starting to grow and it's starting to take off. So what you get is, and we've been to some unified events. There's been some basketball games between Papillion South and Papillion Old School, and we've gone to those, and it's pretty remarkable to listen to the regular students talking about their experience with the Special Olympic athletes. Because I'm trying to thank them for doing it, and they're like, you don't get it. This is really very rewarding to them, and a lot of them feel a bond with the Special Olympic athletes because they feel a little bit isolated in their high school. So that isolation stuff is a bonding mechanism. And everybody gets together. It's really a remarkable thing. Society is no longer looking at people with disabilities the same way they used to, which was sort of we have to segregate and, they're on their own path. It's sort of, no, we can walk this path together. So it's pretty cool to watch that happen. My experience was nothing like that.
Right.
I mean, we didn't have any special needs people in the schools I went to. So it's really pretty rewarding to see that. And Nebraska's doing a great job of that.
Wonderful. I have a little background with special needs. I was able to participate with at the church Catholic school. So we did CCD, and just a phenomenal program there. And then at high school, Millard West is where I graduated, and had the opportunity to go over and hang out with them during the homeroom time and everything like that. And it was just really, really cool. Really cool. So I'm happy to see that bond and community all coming together.
Yeah, it's really pretty remarkable. I mean, the American society is just getting so much better. I mean, it's really good because they don't see a difference.
Right.
They just see another person, and they're like, okay, what characteristic does that person have? And they develop friendships over common interests. Yeah. So it's really pretty cool.
Well, Mike, any final thoughts that you want to share on just the family dynamic or being a coach or anything on those lines? And Rachel, I'll give you a heads up. I'm going to give you the final word here on any final thoughts you have about Special Olympics, so you can get thinking about it.
So Special Olympics for our family in particular has been remarkable. It really, when Rachel went to Austria for the World Games in 2017, it was a real growth experience for Pam and I. And what we learned as a result of her going over there, because she had to travel with the team and we weren't part of the travel arrangement. So she was traveling independently. And what we took away from it was we needed to loosen our grip a little bit on Rachel so that she could fully develop. And it was a very meaningful occurrence. And then, so we've been struggling ever since about how to loosen the grip.
Yeah.
And the more you loosen it, the more rewarding it becomes because you see your child flourishing on their own without any assistance. And it's a real hard inertia to overcome. You just want to cling and hold them tight and make everything good for them. But the best thing in the world is how they can do it on their own. And Special Olympics provides an environment where, as a parent, you're comfortable with that environment. So you're comfortable with the environment that produces the growth. And that's what's really magical about it. It's not really about the medals or the competition. It's about the environment. The medals in the competition come, and don't get me wrong, the athletes are very competitive.
I bet. Oh, yes. Well, we get to meet a few, I think, that kind of walk around during the Polar Plunge before we all go in there. You can see that dedication.
Yeah, they're very, very competitive. They all want to win, and they're all trying their hardest to win. But it's not about coming in first place. It's about competing, which is really, really, it's a pure attitude about sport, which is it's really remarkable to watch.
All right, Rachel, I warned you. So what's your final thought on just the Special Olympics and the opportunities?
I kind of agree with my dad a little bit. Special Olympics for me has just been it's boosted my confidence. I've actually made a ton of friends. And it's just really about the joy. I've watched athletes, when they earn a medal or a ribbon, they just are very happy, and they're not they just high five each other and they just start having fun.
Good. All right. Well, tell our listeners how they can get more involved with Special Olympics.
Well, I think that the easiest thing to do is to contact the state office, Special Olympics Nebraska. And I think that their website is sone.org. Okay. So you can go on the web and contact them there, and they'll provide opportunities for either volunteering or whether it's just a participant volunteering to help during a competition, or if you want to coach or become a unified partner. So if you go to the sone.org, there'll be various tabs you can look at and pull down, and it'll give you points of contact to contact there. That's probably the best way to go.
And that is Special Olympics for Nebraska specifically.
Yes, it is.
Each state has their own sponsored teams and all of those things. So wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your stories and telling us more about the Special Olympics. This is my second year plunging. Last year was more, I was told I had to do it. This year, I think I even started talking about it in November because I knew it was coming. I'm like, gosh, I'm looking forward to this.
It is pretty cool.
It is. The whole day is
the
just an
atmosphere is pretty remarkable.
And to see everybody so dedicated. And Core Bank, we tend to fight to be one of the best participants in it, which I think it's safe to say we can announce it now. Who are you guys plunging with this year?
Core Bank.
Yeah. For more information on the Core Experience, you can go to corebank.com/podcast, or you can email coreexperience@corebank.com. Core Bank member FDIC. I have to say that part for the bank. Well, thank you again so much for your time. And for all of our listeners, we look forward to talking to you on a future podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Core Experience, your connection to community, business, and the people who make it all happen. For more details, go to corebank.com/podcast or email coreexperience@corebank.com. Brought to you by Core Bank, member FDIC.